Rucking has been something I've wanted to get more into in my regular routine of training, but has been the hardest thing to stay consistent with and keep in my training for two reasons. One being time, and the other being the fear of it negatively affecting my normal weekly training of sandbags, kettlebell, and calisthenics. So if there's two things I've learned and emphasized, if something's important to you, you'll make time, and to just simply suck it up. There's a way to do this without impacting the regular training in a negative way. In other words, it can be a beneficial addition to build work capacity and endurance in the regular training if done consistently, frequently, within reason each time. So I'm going to talk about the way I've added this into my routine and the way I go about it. So I'm going to try not to ruck this up too bad. So I'm going to start this with a little bit about rucking. In its entirety, it's a full body exercise. After rucking for any kind of longer distance, it'll make you sore from your traps to your feet. But I wouldn't say it builds muscle like lifting weights will. But I will say it's a great combination of strength endurance. As for what's a good ruck weight, reference a 30-year body weight and stay within that at the heaviest. Try more weight than that in there, and it starts getting painful. For example, I weigh 196 pounds, so 65 pounds is the heaviest I would ever go. I preferably ruck at 50 pounds though. I find that's the sweet spot of weight for me. The weight that's heavy enough for a good stimulus, but light enough I can sustain for distance at the same time. So that's a little guide to finding a good sustainable weight. If there's anything I've learned, it's to wear and have the pack adjusted just right to your body, because it can become stupidly painful if not. Both the pack and the weight need to be high on the back, or else the lower back and shoulders will start screaming. My ruck has a strap at the sternum and at the hips. The sternum strap takes the pressure off the shoulder blades and sits the pack comfortably on the traps. The hip belt works better for heavy weight and is used to either take pressure off the hips, shoulders, and lower back depending on how it's adjusted. It's great for sustaining farther distances more than anything. Footwear and support is important as well. I found I like rucking in my work boots. They provide a ton of support in the feet and the ankles, especially over just regular trainers. I'm sure some kind of combat boots are better, but I just like to use what I have. So that's a little tangent about the technical side of it. Now I'm going to talk about the training side. The easiest thing to do is to say, I don't have time to do this. I said that for a long time, especially in regard to rucking on a consistent basis. Everyone's situation is different, so I'd say the best way to make time is to take stock of how much time you spend goofing off. Eliminate that and utilize that time to add something constructive like this. I feel like if the majority of people did that, they'd be surprised. Like, for example, my situation is I'm out of town working every week, so I've found that I have time after work every day, most of the time, to do this, and it doesn't have to be crazy distances to get something out of it, because that can be a time suck. So what I do is, instead of going to the hotel when I get off, eating and sitting around because I already trained that morning, I'll go for a short ruck with a decent weight, with moves to supplement my regular training. If I were at home with my family, like a normal person maybe, I'd still make time and make it happen regardless. I believe there's always a way. Circumstances change, but that doesn't mean you have to. The most important element is creating a repeatable routine. Mine is 2 heavy rucks a week for 2 miles. That doesn't take too much time, maybe an hour, give or take. One session is focused on weighted push-ups, and the other is focused on strength endurance in the legs with stadium steppers and lunges. The push-ups are to balance press work in a heavy pull-dominant style of sandbag training. The steppers and lunges are more of a carryover move to not being winded going up flights of stairs. The way I go about the exercises is similar to greasing the groove style. I'll ruck from point A to point B and mix usually 10 sets of push-ups or lunges in there, spread out over the distance every so often. If you're going to add rucking to your training, I would add certain elements like this to supplement the way you train, however that may be. So what I've found at this point is it's all about finding that sweet spot and balance between intensity and recovery. Since the beginning of this year, I've cut back my training to 4 days a week from 6 to 7 days a week. I think that has been the best move I've made so far as progressing in training. Last year, I used to train hard and intense for crazy volumes with a lot of exercises every day. And based on my body weight and appearance at that time, I feel like I just withered myself down. That's because I probably wasn't ever fully recovering. I didn't place as much emphasis on recovery like I do now. Nothing about the way I ruck is intense. Maybe when doing sets of weighted push-ups, there might be a bit of intensity due to the heavy weight, but the main focus is being steady, keeping it repeatable, and maintaining a consistent routine. So by itself, rucking is pretty boring. I'm not going to lie. I found a way to make it more enjoyable is to have some kind of mission to go with it. Like if I have to return some stuff that my wife buys for the kids, and the stores are about 1 to 2 miles apart or so, I'll park at one store, put the ruck on, and trek it out and make those returns. From experience, I will say it's essential to watch your six, especially being next to main roads, side roads, and parking lots. Sometimes it seems like a game of dodgeball, but with cars. I guess if you can dodge a car, you can dodge a ball. There seems to be more and more people probably screen-sucking mindless nonsense on TikTok maybe, and driving at the same time, especially in Florida, but I'm sure it's like that everywhere around the world. My advice is always keep your head on a swivel when doing that. Overall, rucking is a great way to build cardio endurance and work capacity to supplement whatever training that you do. At least that's how I use it. The important elements are good footwear, getting your pack adjusted just right, making time in a way where it isn't a huge time suck, building a repeatable routine to where it's not going to affect regular training, balancing intensity and recovery, being task-oriented when rucking, so it's less boring, so you're more likely to look forward to it and be more consistent with it. That's just how I found a way to add rucking into my training and the way I go about it. If you have anything to add, any questions, please leave it in the comments. Thanks for being here if you're still watching. And until next time, keep putting in the work.